Thank you for tuning in on this episode of Book Talks as we review Lula Ann's new novel called Tough Love, available in bookstores near you. Thank you for joining us today, Lula Ann.
Thank you for having me.
So, Lula Ann, tell us a little bit about your book.
Yes. So I wrote this book in the course of just a week, and I was thinking through memories of my childhood and how tough my mom raised me in order that I would succeed, thus the name Tough Love for the title of the book. And this novel really just came to life. This novel starts with the birth of a young African-American girl in the early 1990s and how she came to understand her identity and role in the world and eventually grew up to be a successful woman. This book really focuses on the ups and downs of growing up and somewhat of a turbulent relationship with her mother.
I love that. Since you were inspired by your own memories, is this supposed to be a fictional autobiography of your life?
Yes, I suppose you could call it a memoir or autobiography, but it really more focuses on my outlook of my childhood through this fictional child. My mother always told me I had very black skin, making me feel terrified of mirrors, but really she wanted me to be horrified of the world instead. I never saw the world as a bad place, and of course, through a child's eyes, the world is a magical place where anything is possible, really. So you can imagine my surprise when my mom, who could do what some call passing, really pointed out my dark skin and how the world would be rude and mean to me. I first realized the significance of my dark skin when my mom told me that my biological father left us because he didn't truly believe I was his. Of course, that does something to a person. My mom just kept saying, "It's not my fault, so you can't blame me. I didn't do it. I have no idea how it happened," and so on. I understand she didn't want to be blamed for my father leaving, but of course, it's as if she was saying something deeper, that my night black skin wasn't her fault. Of course, this isn't the main point or plot of my story, but it certainly impacts the main character, Beth Ann.
So, tell us more about what made you want to write this novel.
My heart behind it was to share a little bit about my story, but really to write a redemption story. My mother suffered with generational trauma of men leaving her family and this aspiration to live as a white person. She often would try and pass as a white woman despite her black blood. But when I was born, my mom said that I scared her because I was so dark. I wanted to, in some way, redeem my story through Beth Ann. I wanted to give a little black girl born to a passing mother with a burden of generational trauma some hope. Hope that she could grow up to be a successful mother, author, loving daughter who has healthy boundaries with her mother. I also wanted to share my own story, my perspective and my experience of growing up. I do believe that having another form of acceptance of my skin tone would have allowed me to avoid a lot of heartbreak. However, I also know it gave me a lot of strength.
Thank you for sharing that. Can you share more on how the passing of the mother in the story impacts Beth Ann?
Absolutely. So Randall Kennedy puts it best, stating that a person who is passing is the individual whose physical appearance allows him to present himself as white, but whose black lineage, typically only a very partial black lineage, makes him black according to dominant racial rules. A passer is distinguishable from the person who is merely mistaken, the person who, having been told that he is white, thinks of himself as white and holds himself out to be white, though he and everyone else in the locale would deem him to be black, where the facts of his ancestry know. My mother would describe herself as a light-skinned person and lists all the privileges that people with lighter skin can enjoy in the society, such as trying on clothes in front of the part of the store or not being charged for a paper bag at the grocery store. However, she believed that me not being able to do those things because of my dark skin was like a curse. My mother's sweetness believed she fell into this category of passing, and so does Beth Ann's mother in the novel. Beth Ann's mother goes by the name Honey. The ironic use of sweet, soft, and comforting names for these mothers who strive to degrade their daughters is purposeful in both the book and I believe my life as well. I will never truly understand my mother's purpose of choosing the name Sweetness for her mom name, but I certainly learned a lot about what it means to have a mother that was certainly not sweet.
That's very interesting. I can see how you've had to really understand some childhood trauma in the process of writing this novel. Why did it only take you a week to write?
It only took me a week to write because, like I previously said, this novel was inspired by my own life. I really enjoy reflecting on my past and seeing how it has shaped me, but also my daughter was also on a church retreat, so that gave me plenty of free time.
I love that. I'm sure you've had plenty of time to focus. It's clear that you wrote this book with a lot of passion and even some heartache. What do you want the readers to get out of your book?
I want my readers to really admire the growth of Beth Ann and how she overcomes many trials in her life. The story begins at the moment she's born, and then it spans into her adulthood. So throughout the book, she has boyfriends, heartbreak, she has friendship struggles, she gets her first job, she meets her husband, she has a daughter, she decides to be a doctor, and she learns how to love her mother and be proud of her skin tone. It's a coming-of-age novel, but it's also a novel that explores how she comes to love herself. She was told growing up she had no worth, but as she grows up, she learns that that is not true. She learns that the tough love her mother raised her with was not really tough love. It was a form of disgust and hatred. I really want readers to pick up this novel and put themselves in the shoes of Beth Ann. I want them to envision themselves in one area of their life that they have been told they are less than, and realize how strong they are because of what they have been through and the fact that they have been able to read this book.
Wow, that is amazing. It's amazing to see that you have such a love and heart for your readers and this aspiration to change lives through a novel. Can you read us a chapter out of your book?
Yes, I would be honored. So the excerpt I'm going to read today is from chapter 3, and this chapter is titled Pink Shoelaces. The sun hits my eyes like daggers. What time is it? I think to myself. I look over to my rusty alarm clock my mother purchased from a garage sale. It says 9:37 a.m. I'm late. I'm so late. I climb out of my bed, throw on the first pair of pants I see, and run out the door to my school. As I am sprinting, I wonder if they have started show and tell yet in Miss Fink's class. I'm only in the first grade, and I really wanted to show my friends and teachers a pink shoelace I found the other day. I show up to school, and the attendance lady leans over the counter to me. "Where is your mom, Beth Ann?" She asks me, man, I forgot to wake up my mom for work. I am getting a whooping, I think to myself.
I cannot wait to complete this novel and possibly any novels you write in the future. Do you have plans to write another novel?
Oh, we will have to see. My daughter won't be going to any church retreats anytime soon.
Well, thank you, Lula Ann, for coming to join us this week on the Book Talk podcast. We cannot wait to see the love readers will have for the story and the future you have in the world of publication. Thank you for tuning in on this week's episode on Lula Ann's new novel, Tough Love. You can find this novel on bookshelves near you and on audiobooks on Apple Music and Spotify. Tune in next week to get the first insight into Hannah Joy's second novel, Red. Have a great week, and don't forget, talking about books is cool.